Welcome to Power of the Tribe podcast. I'm your host, John Connors. I'm also the founder and head instructor at Connors Martial Arts. We teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing, and mixed martial arts. Send me a DM, an email, a text message, give us a call, send us an email, and we'll make your life appreciably better. 37% better, Dan, your life will be.
Exactly.
And I'm here with my host, Dr. Dan Robin. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Man, you look great. I think the Seinfeld thing is
Still working.
still working.
Yeah, I have certain like benchmarks of strength and fitness, and I've met them. So, when I'm like, okay, now I'm doing. So
Strength even.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, just simple things. For me, it's the benching 2 plates. You know what I mean? Like on the bench press, the 245 pound. So 225.
You can bench 225 pounds?
Yes.
Holy shit, Dimitri. Did you know that? That's impressive.
Bearing in mind, I've seen you do sets of those.
That's impressive.
So
man.
but for me, it's not really. I mean, like I said,
But that's a great benchmark, right?
Yeah.
Just
You feel
one clean rep is all you're looking
yeah.
for. Why would you need any more strength than that? Right? It's perfect.
Well, again, for strong people, that's not strong. And for fit people, my fitness. So I like to run 5K in under 25 minutes. That's all. So for runners, that's not fast. Like a 5K, you've done a 5K before.
So that's like 3.1 miles in 25 minutes?
Yeah, it's basically
8-minute
miles for.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1 8-minute mile is not so hard, but like three in a row gets through. For me. So run.
I think that's very
not
smart.
But that's not fast for runners. That's not strong for weightlifters. But for me, if I can do both those things, I'm like, all right.
You're trying to efficiently maximize your fitness.
I want to keep those. Like if I can just keep those, if I fall below those, I feel like I'm falling out of the zone I want to stay in.
I think that's a great idea. I mean,
that's
a lot
fit
of
enough
sense.
for me. I don't need to run much.
Then you could take a week off if you wanted to, and it's not the end of the world, and get right back into it.
Yeah, I don't need more. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it creeps up a little because you bench 225, and then you're like, well, 250 would be awesome, but I don't really need it. It doesn't appeal to me that much.
And everybody I know that pushes the envelope in weight training hurts themselves.
Yeah.
So
that's
almost everybody that's deadlifting something over 350 pounds, they're like, yeah, I blew my back out last week.
Same with runners, right? Like that run a lot.
You could probably overdo the running. Yeah.
People say that their knees go.
Oh, right.
And like we're getting older, and I've knock wood, I've no injuries, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
physical.
Yeah. What are you trying to say? No visible. But you know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to do. Just keep these benchmarks. And my new thing is, like, I used to like being like with the weight where like, here is the weight, here is the amount. Like I'm just being straightforward about how much it is or how fast I'm running.
Dan, it's helped me. I had to weigh 175 pounds for this last competition.
Yeah.
So, Dimitri, we tend to text each other what our weight is. And for some reason, that helps me. And
it puts the pressure. You don't want the other person to be like doing well, and you're like, well, now I'm at, but
I don't even think that. But what I do is like it just puts it on record for me. And I'm like, Dan, I'm 179 pounds. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not that I care what you think about it, but somehow it helps me. Yeah.
Yeah. Neither of us are like,
you're my accountability buddy. That was on South Park. Do you ever see that? The accountability. Are you a South Park fan?
I've seen a ton of them, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not like the big fan that can call back episodes. And I'm
it.
actually bad at that all the time. Like, I'll see an entire series and then people talk about it, and I'm like, I don't remember any of them. I can't.
You're probably doing it the right way.
I can't do quotes, and I just don't remember. Like all the Seinfelds. Everyone from our generation watched all the Seinfelds.
Yeah.
I don't remember any. I remember 2-3 things, the same things that everyone else talks about.
I remember a lot of it. My son and I have watched a lot of Seinfeld together. We've watched a ton of The Office together and South Park.
Yeah,
so.
Office is another one. I've seen all of them, but
yeah.
I can't, I can't tell you quotes or anything like that. I don't know why. Makes me feel like I'm wasting my time if I watch. I'll be like, okay, that's 30 hours.
Just allocating your brain cells to more important issues.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, we've been away for a while. I was away.
There's a reason.
Italy.
Right.
So beautiful. Yeah. So my son, Rory, and Maria Kiprios and I went to Italy, to Rome, Italy, for the No-Gi European Championships, the IBJJF No-Gi European Championships. And
Right.
it was an awesome trip, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Rome.
You've been to Rome.
Yes.
Let me ask you, what part sticks out to you? What did you like best about Rome? When did you go?
Well, so I went in my 20s. I'm trying. This is
Oh,
why. This is why I'm
got it.
pausing, because I went in my 20s so differently than you'd go. Like I'd go now, or you'd go as a full adult. Like I got off the plane and I had a suitcase. And remember, this is. I think it was pre-cell phone. Is it the 90s pre-cell phone?
Yes.
So I had no cell phone and I had no reservations for
Nice.
anything.
Yeah.
So I
Winging
got
it.
Yeah, I just sort of had my suitcase and I went to the first hotel. And I said, I'm not even sure I had a credit card. I probably did. But I sort of went up to the first hotel and I said, I need a room for, whatever it was, 3 nights. And they said, oh, no, some festivals in town, there's no hotel rooms. So
Wow.
I'm like in Rome. I'm all jet lagged. I'm tired. And I'm like, huh. You know what I mean? Like, so I was honestly like, am I going to sleep on like a piazza or something? You know what I mean? Am I going to be on
Right.
a Rome park bench? Like, it was
Right.
terrible.
Taking a bath in the Trevi Fountain.
Yeah. And so I found some kind of hostel where I shared a room with like 5 people.
Hmm.
And, so my trip is sort of a hazy memory. Like I was just,
Did
Walk
anyone
going
attempt to
around town.
mug you while you were there?
no attempts. I actually was like I went out one night and it was sort of like I made this wandering across Rome, like the whole length of the city at 2
Hmm.
in the morning.
Nice.
And I just had that magical, like, no one came near me. I walked past the Colosseum at like 2:30 or something. And it was pretty funny because it was like, it was completely abandoned.
Mm.
It just felt really weird. I was just standing there like, it's me in the Colosseum, like with no other people around. You know what I mean? Like a big landmark like that's usually so crowded. And it was just
It's
like
pretty big. Yeah.
dead silent and just me standing there
That's
like,
been kind of a beautiful moment.
yeah,
Dan.
it was.
Yeah.
So that moment stands out to me.
Nice.
In answer to your question, me and the Colosseum by ourselves. How about yourself?
I like the Coliseum, but there were thousands of people there, and there's supposedly a 3-hour wait to get inside.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm the type of person, I don't want to wait 3 minutes, never mind 3 hours.
No lines at all, yeah.
And I don't even like guided tours. I just want to walk around
No.
by my own.
I'm the same way.
And there was all these sort of hustler guys who are like, you want to go? Hey, come here. It's 3 hours to get in. But I'm like, no, just leave me
Yeah.
alone. And then as soon as you get by that guy, another guy's accosting you. And then all these
I don't
people
like playing
selling like
those
these
games, yeah.
these chintzy knickknacks.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they had this one thing, Dan, you would have found particularly annoying. It was some kind of plastic, rubbery, blobby thing, and they would throw it down. And when it hit a surface, it would make this whining sound. And that's all you would hear. And they would try to sell it to you. I'm like, sell it to me. I'd like to shove it down your throat. It was so annoying. And they were everywhere. These guys, not everywhere. They were
It's like
all
the
around
thing
the
now.
Coliseum and all around. We went to the Trevi Fountain. You had to
Yeah.
go through this half-mile gauntlet of those guys selling crap. And
Yeah, I did that at so 2 examples. One is after Rome, I went to a place called San Marino, which is like the second smallest country in the world, something like that.
that's a
Like,
country.
yeah, it's like it's a mountain in Italy,
Really?
but it's somehow its own country.
Cool.
It's like it's basically
Is it
Italy,
northern
but-
Italy?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, maybe it's considered central. I don't know.
Okay.
It's north of Rome.
Yeah.
And so it's it's just the mountain. So I was like, oh, that's going to be like a cool, exotic, rural kind of place to be. But I realized that they make their money through that. Like, do you know what I mean? They're up on a mountain. They have no other commerce other than
Come see
basically
us.
like, look, I've got 3 belt. This is a real leather belt. You can have it for $9. And, and so all of San Marino was
Them pitching you.
stall
stuff.
after stall after stall of like trying to get you to buy garbage. And I had a friend who had this similar experience. He said that's what Stonehenge was like. Like on TV, you see it, there's nothing around, it's just those rocks. But if you pan back, it's like mobs and mobs of people,
Stalls
and then stalls of people like selling
got their
miniature,
blanket out with a bunch of junk on the
yeah,
blanket.
miniature Stonehenges and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he said it was really cheesy and not a great trip.
Yeah. So what else did we see? We saw the Spanish Steps. Very nice. Had a drink up on top of one of the restaurants there looking out over the city. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
a jiu-jitsu tournament.
jiu-jitsu tournament. So I ended up coming away with a gold medal for my division. I didn't have many matches for my division, but I did have matches.
Yeah.
I did win, Dan. And
I would argue, and it's not my, see, this is the thing. It's sort of like you shouldn't really judge a competitor, but I think it's fair to argue if someone comes home with a medal having not wrestled at all,
okay.
then you can say that doesn't count as a medal, right? Like,
I don't think you want to count that. I mean, you can make the philosophical argument that while you prepared well, you made weight, you went, you showed up. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's okay to take the medal, but I don't.
It's okay to take it, but you have to. I feel like you have to.
I wouldn't be
then
posting
say-
it on
yeah,
Instagram
right, right.
and like, yeah, it shouldn't be something you're
You
crowing
have to at
about
least
too
beat
much.
somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Definitely.
Because you say there are people, apparently it's not that uncommon, because I've heard many examples, people that seek out sort of empty brackets.
I don't know if they're seeking them out, but yeah, you can find an empty bracket when you're up in the Masters. When you're up, Dan, at my age, all the competition is basically dying at any moment. So it's a thin herd at this point.
A hip can go out on the way to the mat. And
That's right. It's a very thin herd to begin with. So yeah, you can find an open slot probably if you wanted to. Yeah. But I'm doing it the hard way. I'm
Yeah.
trying to eat really well, which you know, and I'm trying to make a weight. I had to make essentially 175 pounds, which wasn't easy for
yeah,
me.
let me say one thing about
Yeah.
this eating, like, because we talk about it lately. Like, again, we talked about the weight we're at. So I think, and there's sort of, I also have this feeling, like a maybe old-fashioned guy thing of like, should guys talk about their weight? I see the weight though and eating. It's hard to make feel like you've got everything together if you're like eating like a slob and like putting on weight. It's
I
like,
agree.
you know what I mean? It's hard to
Yeah.
be like, I've sort of got my life together.
I agree.
If you're just sort of don't have any discipline in that area, I would say. You know what I mean? If you're
I
sort
totally
of just-
agree. Yeah.
And I've been there. Like I said, we've talked
I know it's
before
not
when
easy.
I'm like,
Yeah, so I get it. And I'm glad if I didn't have the competition, Dan, I couldn't make 175 pounds. If there was nothing compelling me to do it, I don't think I could do it. So I'm lucky that I have. It's basically a system, I guess. We're always talking about process and system. It's a process that's going to keep me at a healthy weight. Otherwise, who knows?
you might be able to do it. You just, if you set up a different goal, if it wasn't a tournament and you just said, I want to.
I have to find some reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did notice in Italy that, and there were crowds there, was beautiful weather, 75 degrees, hardly any humidity, perfectly clear blue skies, just beautiful, beautiful weather. There wasn't the same level of obesity as you see if you were walking in the United States or around here. So I totally get what you're saying. It's I don't want to have a big belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel good about myself. Yeah, I don't know. And I know it's hard to eat healthy and to make it all work, but I feel a lot better when I do, for sure.
Yeah.
And so, so my son was competing. We're all competing on different days, basically. There was some overlap, and I think my son finished on a Saturday maybe, and I had to compete on Sunday. So Saturday night we went out, and we went, well, let's go to Rome, because we were basically in the suburbs, and we were halfway between the venue where we were competing and Rome. So we went into Rome, and we walked around. We saw the Colosseum and Trevi Fountain and Spanish Steps, and then we had a couple drinks, which is unusual for me the night before.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know, Dan. I was in like the self-sabotaging mode, and I had a couple of drinks, 2 or 3 drinks, maybe 3, which was crazy if you think about it. And then we said, let's get some pasta. And the wonderful thing about Italy, too, is the restaurants have like 1,500 reviews. So you can find a place with a 4.8 star rating with
Yeah.
1,500 reviews. So You're
Yeah,
pretty
that'd
sure
be
it's
awesome.
pretty
I
good.
was, see, when I was there was nothing. I was
Yeah.
walking randomly into random places.
So we find this place, and
Mhm.
you Google Map or Waze it, and you walk there, and we're the only people there, and it's in a side street, and the food was like incredibly good. The pasta was incredibly good.
I thought you were going to suffer because you couldn't eat it. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like,
shouldn't have been eating
yeah.
it. So I had a big plate of bolognese, not even a big plate, a modest size, an appropriate size plate of bolognese. My son Rory had something. Maria was between the carbonara and something else, and the guy said the carbonara is very strong. Maybe, I don't know if he was being sexist. Maybe go with the other thing. So she went with the other thing. Everyone loved what they had, and I said, so the devil was on my shoulder. I go, maybe we should get a plate of carbonara, and my son Rory, who's done competing, he goes, yeah, let's get a plate of carbonara. And then Maria goes, what? Get two. So we get two to split among the three of us. And he was right. It was so dense. It was delicious, but it's something that you could go outside on a winter day shoveling all day and come in and eat that plate of that, and you'd feel satisfied.
And you had to weigh in the next day.
I had to weigh in the next
yeah.
day. I don't know what I was doing then. I lost my mind. I was sabotaging myself. Have you ever done that, sabotage yourself?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Dimitri, you ever sabotage yourself? Maybe once or twice.
I'm trying to think. You know what I use? Yes, actually, yeah.
Yeah?
Another thing, I used to all the time for academics.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't study.
Right.
And I'd go out and I'd be like, oh, I'm taking this test without
Yeah.
I was
That's
a
like an
huge
ego trap thing, probably.
huge
right?
self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So then, I would just clearly, cut classes, not study. So then be able to be like, I got a B without even reading it or whatever, you know
Right.
what I mean? And like, to me, looking back, I don't think I was even aware of it at the time, but looking back, it's a way of not having to get the A and sort of implying you could get an A. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
sort of being like,
That's exactly
watch,
the ego
bet
trap.
you I could get an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I prepare right and try appropriately, then whatever score I get, that's my score. And
Right.
and what if it doesn't measure up to what I think it will be? Now I'll have to deal with the pain of recalibrating my own estimate of my own intelligence. That would
Because
suck,
I
right?
think I used to suspect, like, and if I stayed in all night studying, what if I still get the B?
Yeah.
And then it turns out all I can get is a B.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, you still got to.
So I felt a little whiff of that, but I will say, I've been preparing for weeks, so I really did prepare well. You know what I mean? And my weight was so. And anyway, the day before, I'm sabotaging myself. I'm walking. We're going back to the room. I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And we're working in kilograms over there. So I get on my scale at my room, and I'm like, oh, I'm only like 2.25 over. Wait a minute, that's kilograms. So I was like 5 pounds over the night before. So I'm like, shoot, I'm going to have to lose 5 pounds by tomorrow. And
Did you have all
but
day?
I said, well, I get to like 4 in the afternoon, I think. It turned out I didn't. I only had to about 3 in the afternoon. But so I did a little workout in the hotel room, some push-ups and squats and ab stuff. Like I rotated everything through so I didn't overtax any part of my body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And got a sweat going.
Because what I found also getting a little older, it's sort of like, if you have to lose the weight, I feel like at 25, you can just like work out as hard as you can and you'll be okay the next day, unaffected.
So
But
tricky.
now if I work out really hard, like I'm weaker the next day, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I
Oh, yeah.
can't,
So I got to
know.
think about that, too.
Yeah.
So somehow I wake up in the morning, and now I've lost 3 pounds overnight from the little workout and just sleeping. So I'm like, oh, I'm 2 pounds over. But I'm like, yeah, but you're 2 pounds over,
Yes.
and you already lost 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So now I got to lose 2 more pounds. So I put on 2 pair of sweatpants, 2 hoodies, and warmed up and wrestled with my son a bit, and just sipped on some water. I think that's the trick, is like you don't want to stop drinking water because then you stop sweating. Then there's another trick I heard, Dan. You get a sweat going, right? And you're hot. Then you actually put yourself in a slightly cooler environment, and somehow that stimulates even more sweat. I think if you stay too hot, then your body starts to think, we're going to run out of water. We got to
Start
ration this
conserve it,
sweat
yeah.
out, and it slows the sweating down. So like I took it off. Somehow I figured it out, and I weighed in like spot on. So I was fine. But it was
And you got to have the carbonara.
And I got to have the carbonara, which is
So it
really
worked
good.
out.
Yeah. And the bolognese, which is really good.
So
So then I won my division, and then I got a chance at the open weight, and I won that. So I'm officially double gold, no-gi European champion. Pretty cool. Master 6, old geezer weight, division.
yeah,
So I'm pretty good for an old guy.
were there gi matches? Like,
Not
did it-
there was a Rome Open. So what they do is sometimes they have like a local tournament. The Rome Open had gi matches. Yeah.
right, and you wanted to do the European.
I wanted to do both,
Right.
but these maniacs in my gi divisions didn't show up, or they left the building or something. I don't know. And I went down an age bracket, and I couldn't get any matches in the
I'm
Rome
also
Open.
imagining,
And they were signed up. Here's the thing, Dan. These guys are freaking signed up because I could have went down even to a younger age or bracket if I knew I needed to. I went down one age division where there were some competitors, and then at the last minute they pulled out or no-showed or something, so there was nobody for me to compete with.
it sounds so rampant. Like, for anyone who doesn't know,
I don't know.
let us know. Like, is it? It's just, I mean, just this one tournament. How many examples do you have of people not showing? Half
Like,
a dozen?
Revolving around me?
Yeah.
I think maybe 4. Yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. I find it so depressing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's no shows and then last minute pullouts. And do you
Last
think
minute
people just get
moves.
nervous? Is it nerves?
I think so. It's something weird.
And then people don't say nerves.
Or
right?
they
They-
get
they-
you get points for placing in these tournaments, first, second, third, and I don't know if some of these maniacs are just trying to accumulate points as efficiently as possible. But if you have any system, Dan, human system of either esteem ranking like this or financial systems, somebody's going to try to game the system, right? That's just the way
Right.
it is. That's human nature. How can we
if
bend
there's
the
a way to
rules?
game it, they'll
Yeah,
game it.
let's game it. Yeah. So I don't know, but I guess it's good for me to see that. So, I mean, one of the reason why somebody would game that system is for some pseudo esteem. So pseudo meaning false or not real esteem. So in other words, they could say, "Oh, go look me up on the internet. I get X amount of points as a black belt in this division." You know what I mean? And they get some
Right.
feeling of esteem for that, or pride. But if you're not even competing, it doesn't make any
It feels
sense.
so hollow. Or on a house
So
of cards,
hollow.
it feels like someone like that
It
esteem can come
makes
crashing
me
down.
Yeah,
in
it
any
makes me
second.
not want to even post, "Oh, I just won this tournament." Like, I don't even want to put it on social media, because that's even social media. Even if you win and you go on Instagram and go, "Here's my medal," you're looking for pseudo esteem from people.
Right.
People give you likes and congratulations, and you feel good about. I guess it isn't totally pseudo esteem, because I'm doing it for my academy, and my students can say congratulations. So that's real esteem. Those are real people who really know me. It's pseudo esteem when people don't even know you or barely know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And a central thing, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about, and a lot of, even back to why you want to get your weight under control or get your eating under control, it all leads back to self-esteem, right? Like true self-esteem, non-pseudo, true
Right.
self-esteem.
Yeah.
Like that's the cornerstone, the foundation of everything we talk
Right.
about almost.
and I talked to you a lot about it. I probably mentioned it on the podcast before. This guy I listen to sometimes, Dr. Doug Lisle, on the Beat Your Genes podcast. He has a theory that we have an internal audience that's looking at our actions, our behaviors, and our efforts, and it's measuring how we're doing. So when we put in a good effort, when we, basically perform close to our potential, our internal audience is happy with us and gives us
Right.
a good feedback.
Right. But that's what's
And
so
that's
if you-
self-esteem.
If you get a gold medal, if you run away from competition and get a gold medal, you you intentionally move to an empty bracket to get the gold medal, and then you post that on Facebook, like, "Oh, look, I got," or Instagram, or wherever you post,
Right.
"I got this gold medal." People might congratulate you, but your inner audience is going to be screaming at you. It's going to be
Got to
like,
know, right? I
it's going
don't
to be
know.
like, well, "We all know what you did there." Your inner voice
Right.
is going to be saying, "We know what you just did."
Definitely.
like you
Who would
just-
want to be in that hell? That sounds
Yeah.
horrible, right?
Yeah. Where you yeah,
Where you truly
So-
are an imposter. You're
Yeah.
objectively an imposter.
right.
Those movies, what's his name? Leonardo Dicaprio, he has that role. It's a theme in some of his movies, Dan, that he's like not who he says he is.
Right.
He's an imposter. It's like that in Gangs of New York. What's the one in Boston? The Departed?
Yeah.
And then Departed is the same role. He's in that Catch Me If You Can movie. And it's that same theme where he's pretending to be somebody who he's not. Whenever I watch those things, it gives me a certain amount of anxiety. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think it's also it's sort of an offshoot of it, but it's sort of like I start getting jumpy when even like I'm someone, if there's an elephant in the room, sometimes it can seem like, oh, you're being plain spoken or whatever, like bringing up an uncomfortable point. But I'm like, I'm like so uncomfortable.
You're trying to relieve the pressure.
Yeah. It's like this
pressure.
thing is hanging out there. We all know what we're thinking about. And I'm sensitive to it, actually. I'm like, let's get this out there. And I think related to that, if I like was pretending to be something I'm not, it would just be tough. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes even that can lead to other things, like being a little self-deprecating, because you're sort of like, I don't want anyone to think that it's sort of the opposite of like, I hate so much the idea of being like, I presented myself as having won this medal by winning a match and I didn't even compete, is so uncomfortable to me. I'd rather go in the other direction,
Yeah.
like, you know, make sure you're like, I don't want anyone to think I'm bragging, or I don't want anyone
to think I'm trying to build up this to be more than it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah.
But
Well,
I
you
guess
value reality.
Yeah. Not everyone does, though.
Not everyone does, Dan. Yeah. I value it as well. And when you bump into those people who don't value it, they get really annoyed at you for valuing it, right?
Yeah.
You become a party pooper.
Yeah. I get annoyed at them for not valuing it, though, so it's pretty...
I think it's a slippery slope when you stop valuing reality.
Yeah.
You can start, right?
Yeah.
It's not good.
A lot of people don't seem to value it that much.
A lot of people don't.
They value other things more, you know, like...
I've been accused of being a hole poker. I poke holes at things that are obviously nuts, you know, things that are just nonsense. And I go, well, what about this reality? And they're not happy about it. Yeah.
Well, I think I might have even on the podcast, so it was not even a story, but an incident with the ghosts in the basement, right? Like a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that was on our world famous ghost episode, Dimitri.
Yeah.
That's our one
the
of the most popular.
The 10-second version is that there was a group of people, and they're graduate students, and they were like, "There's ghosts in this basement. We all heard it. There's one down there right now," and they were all huddled up and scared when I came in, and I was like, just bad. And you could already see they sort of knew like this is going to be ruined in a second, just because of sort of the entrance my entrance at 1:30 in the morning. It was sort of like, yeah, he's going to wreck this, right? You know, like they were like, there's a ghost and don't go down there. Seriously, don't go down there. And I was like, I'm going down. And the feeling was like,
why do people like to delude themselves? Why do they like that?
Why? I don't know. It was like, why? I can see in that case, you know, it was like, we're all together here. We're all scared and like high emotion, you know, like.
I guess it's exciting.
Yeah.
Stimulating.
But I don't,
it's like watching a horror movie. I guess it's probably like you really know nothing's really going to happen. But if we pretend it might a little bit, then we can vicariously have this scary experience, but be completely safe at the same time. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know.
But I've had that. I've had people. I remember someone yelling at me once, like, you know, you don't always have to be logical with your opinions. And I'm like, I think you do, right? Like, I think you actually do. Like, oh, you don't always have to use the logic when you're. And I'm like, I think.
Excuse me, Mr. Perfect.
I was like, I think you're supposed to, though. I think you're supposed to try.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And it's not like, you know, I don't know. It's not like you or I are like running around debunking things. But like, I don't even care what most people think, you know, but
I'll tell you what I've noticed. Sometimes I listen to actual scientists that kind of veer off into the realm of being a popular scientist.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
it's all the ones that most people have heard of.
Yeah,
right?
and they get on these podcasts and they say things that are scientifically untrue, and it drives me freaking crazy because, like, you're a scientist. What are you talking about? Haven't you read the latest research about this?
Yeah.
And they're just It's just like they're perpetuating bullshit.
If they're trying to move, and I understand wanting to move from being a scientist to a celebrity, it's better to be a celebrity, right? Like, but,
yeah.
But if they move, a lot of times also what happens is they're like, well, I'm a scientist, so I'll address this. And it has nothing to do with their training, right? Because they just become an all-around scientist.
Or they've done a very superficial research into the subject matter.
Yeah, it's like, but they're no kind of expert.
No.
It's like the professor on Gilligan's Island. It's like,
right.
Oh, he knows all things. It's no, he doesn't know all things. I always said that in movies, right? Where, like, since I got my doctorate, it was like, oh, if there's a PhD in a movie, they'll be like, I can make this radio into a transmitter. It's like, I can read those hieroglyphics. I think it's like, wait, how does he, like as if if you are a professor or a scientist, you can do all of it, and it's not. Usually it's the opposite, right? Like you have a very strict, narrow field.
Definitely.
That's
the whole purpose of getting a PhD, right?
Yeah. And anything outside of it, you don't know that much.
You don't get a PhD in general studies. Yeah.
You could be smart enough person, but like if you're on a podcast talking about stuff that you
I think the other thing is these popular guys, their personality is probably high in openness because they want to be the center of attention. So they probably think with less skepticism than other people, and if they hear an idea that sounds cool, they don't look at it too hard, and they just start repeating the fun, cool ideas,
Right. And when you're someone that's becoming a kind of a celebrity and going on podcasts, your goal is no longer, it's not the goal in the lab of like, let's figure out the truth of this. Your goal is now audience and
be entertaining,
be entertaining and popularity and so on. So the original goal of science is out the window.
That guy, Malcom Gladwell, he drives me crazy. You know him?
Yeah. People
love his stuff. And it's, I don't know, not good, I don't think.
And there's other guys that are nice guys or likable guys, but they can go a little out of there. I don't want to make it political.
Well, Malcom Gladwell, let me tell you this one. I heard him do this on NPR or something, and he wrote it in one of his books. And he brings up the story of David and Goliath, the biblical story. So in the story, little David is a shepherd boy or something, and they're fighting the Philistines. And the Philistines put their biggest, baddest fighter out there for one-on-one combat, and his name's Goliath. David goes out there. I don't know why they let him go out there, and he goes out there with this little sling.
Why did they send David out there, actually?
I don't know, right? Somebody had a hunch, and he throws a rock, and he hits him and kills him, right, or whatever. So this Malcom Gladwell spins this tale where actually David was cheating because he's using a missile, and the other guy's using a sword. It's totally unfair. And they're saying Goliath, because he was so big, he actually probably had a pituitary tumor, and he had gigantism, and he had all these health issues. So basically, David is picking on a sick person.
Wait, isn't this a fictional story?
It's a biblical story. Yeah. Well, fictional. Yeah. So, but Malcom Gladwell spins it where,
like, if you have
what he was saying
story
was,
and then you're being specific, like probably a pituitary problem. It's like, what are you talking about?
But here's the thing: the Philistines picked him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't pick him out of a crowd. It's like, this guy is our biggest, toughest, baddest guy. He's proven to be that. Like, so all this other nonsense where he's sick and he's got bad eyesight and he's really ill and it's terrible. No. And guess what? He could have used a sling. He could have thrown a rock. And they said, who's your best guy? He's their best guy. And Malcom Gladwell spins this BS story. And you know what? People love it.
But again,
it makes me want to drive my head through a wall.
It's obvious he was trying to be entertaining, right? Like, it's sort of like
people love it. But here's the thing, Dan. They believe it as fact. They go, I didn't know that. Did you know Goliath had gigantism? And he was, he doesn't couch it in like, here's a funny story. He couches it as
because I was going to say it's the same thing now. It's like, it's the exact same thing as everyone's saying Cobra Kai was right, or like from the Karate Kid, it's like. Did
you see that YouTube Red show they had?
Yeah, I started seeing it, but then
it
turns out I had to pay, and then I stopped.
I somehow watched
it's like Johnny was, the whole idea is the Karate Kid, and it was like
the Karate Kid is a total dick.
Yeah, it was like he was in the wrong the whole time. He went after the guy's girlfriend.
Dan, the show is
but no one cares, right? You just
the
laugh.
show is so brilliant, so fun. It's so weird because when I'm watching it, they somehow perfectly rode that line of like, is this supposed to be funny or is this supposed to be dramatic? And you can't tell. And
I saw whatever was free, like 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and then they said, so did you pay? Is that what you have to?
I think, yeah, I paid.
I saw
Yeah.
something like 2 episodes, and then it was
Yeah.
pay, and I was
I think
out.
I saw the first season. Yeah, but I think they might have had another.
But it's the
season.
same idea. People just like that contrary. It's like funny to think, like, oh, it's funny to say.
I think you're right,
Cobra
Dan.
Kai's right.
Contrariness is interesting, right?
So that's what to me, again, there's nothing scientific about it. And where the annoying part comes in is what you're saying is when people are still, like if it's a guy laughing, like if we're out getting a drink and I start going, didn't David cheat? Didn't he hit him with
Yeah.
a sling? Like then we're laughing, then it's
Right.
fine. Where it gets annoying is if people are still like, oh, he had some pretty good scientific points
Yeah.
about, and then you're like, what are you doing?
He's very insightful. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
right,
is.
right,
He's like
right.
pretending he's giving you insight, and people like that because they're like, I want to be insightful. I'm going to repeat
Yeah.
what he said at my next dinner party so I can look smart. And it's just garbage. So annoying. Oh, Dan, I got you some gifts here. I think it's time for me to show you. I got socks, branded socks, Connor's MMA socks. Anybody wants these, they can reach out to me.
I wear socks,
and I will sell them to you.
so that's perfect.
These are crew socks, very nice. They are right and a left. That's how high.
And did you show them to the camera?
I think I did. Yeah. And
And I have a right and a left foot.
there you go.
So that's going to be perfect.
And then I got a hoodie for you. I got size large for both of these items. I figured that was appropriate. You're kind of large guy. So it's got Connor's MMA. We got our little shield and wreath over here. And guess what we have over here, Dan? People probably can't see this, but committed to the process. All about what we talk about. And the process of what, you might ask? The process of development, right? That's
Right.
what it's all about.
Because it's not a specific answer that you should process, as we keep talking about, to get to develop to almost anything, to almost any goal.
Yeah, personal development or however you want to put it.
That's sort of what we honed in on, right? It's like the goal to inspire you, but then the process is what you have to. You can't just keep looking at that goal, and then
the goal is that North Star
Yeah.
in the very far distance that's going to just point you in the right direction.
And I always think weight was a good example, because if you have a target weight that can inspire you, but then people that just, it's all about that weight and jumping on the scale twice a day and getting depressed if they don't. It's like, don't obsess about the goal. Like have the goal to inspire you, but then maybe don't even think from there on that much about the skill. Like commit to a process to get there. So
If
and
a
you've done it
person-
with jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
where you're like, I want this medal, but then the important thing is the training and the
right.
and the eating and the mental preparation. And
And if somebody out there, if they eat whole natural food, so who is it? Pat Browning's brother, Dave Browning.
Yeah.
He mentioned it to me. He said, "Wow, you look." I think he said, "You look fit." He goes, "You look leaner than your son." And I was like, "Oh, all right, whatever." And he goes, "What do you eat? How do you call it?" And I must have said this, and I forget it in one of the episodes. I said MLB, meat, leaves, and berries. And
Oh, yeah,
he
I
liked
remember
that, which was good. Yeah. And but basically, if somebody ate whole natural food, vegetables and fruits and berries and meat or whatever, if that's
you
all
can eat
you
as much as you want too.
and you know what, the scale is going to be irrelevant because
Yeah.
you're going to get at a very healthy weight before you know it. It's
Yeah.
going to take 6 to 8 weeks for it to really hit, but it will for sure, and it'll be great. So here's the other item, Dan. These are, I use them around the house. They call them joggers, but super comfortable. It's got our logo on
No
the,
one's
on the thigh.
people don't say sweatpants anymore.
They don't say sweatpants. They actually
really?
they don't. They
Kids
Dimitri
today.
will tell you. These kids today, they call them joggers, but I just wear them around the house because they're super comfortable.
Nice.
And
And you've got more of these at the academy.
I got these at the academy. So I got socks, I got hoodies, I got joggers. Just reach out to me, let me know, and
You can be completely dressed in Connor's gear.
complete Connor's gear, and and I'll be happy to sell you all of those items for sure.
Right. So I think we should be clear now. So you had your ultimate goal, the North Star for you, is world champion for your age.
Yes.
And now you just won European champion for your age.
Well, that's a good point, Dan, because I performed well. I had a little bit of anxiety, but I'm having less anxiety every time I go out. And I had to remind myself, Dan, I'm so glad you brought this up. Like winning that tournament, winning the No-Gi European Championship really wasn't a goal. That's part of the process. So that put everything in perspective. So
And the other thing we've pointed out is, say you win this world championship. That'll be awesome. But in your life, objectively, the biggest gains will be the process. Not like, that will come down. That will be an awesome medal you have or trophy you have. But years of health and fitness and mentally being in a good place.
Well, basically, we started this in June of 2018. So a little over a year ago. And yeah, I'm fitter than I was. My jiu-jitsu is better. I think I have a better relationship with my students and my son. And I feel just all around better about jiu-jitsu and what I'm doing. I feel like I'm a better coach. It's been rewarding.
And you felt it slip, right? Like after, I feel like late 2018 maybe, you had a tournament. And then after the tournament, you didn't have another one lined up, and you maybe weren't eating as healthy. You weren't watching weight as much. And you started feeling like,
Well, actually, in June
of
2018, the original plan was to compete in 2019. Compete at the Pan Am's, gi no gi, and World Championships, gi no gi. So those 4 tournaments. That was the original plan, and then we've since added on to it so much and done all these other tournaments, and just gained a lot of momentum. So, yeah, it's been great.
But but when you didn't have, I felt like there was some period where there was like a lag in you were like, I don't know what next tournament I'm going to do or something. And you were like, I'm starting to feel like miserable. Like I've got to get another goal. I got to get back on.
That might have been it might have been early this year in January, because I sort of hurt my leg and then I got a staph infection in my knee.
That sounds about right.
And I was a little overtrained. I think I was just in a weird place. Yeah.
And the other thing about that goal is you can move it. I move it every time.
Yeah.
Like, so I had this weight goal and I'm there. I got there easier than I thought. And now I'm like, you know what? I should be probably 5 more. Like if I'm going between 175 and 185, it should probably be 170 and 180. You know what I mean? Like, so you can move the goals.
Move the range a little
bit. You can
just,
the goal's not, like I said, it inspires you to get something done, but it's not, at least for me, it's not.
Here's the other thing you get, Dan, is I get a lot of these little wins. It's like, oh, I won that tournament. Oh, I won that tournament. Oh, I got a silver here. Oh, I just won that tournament. And even though it's part of the process, it's elevating. It's energizing. It does feel good, for sure.
And also you don't want to get like, say you win the world championship, which would be awesome. Like then are you like, well, now I'll just be like a fat slob. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like
I'll have 18 months of that momentum that I'll be able to, even if I don't choose a physical goal after that, I'll probably still keep in pretty good shape, right?
Yeah. Which is part of what we're saying.
Yeah.
Commit to the process, right?
Definitely. All right, Dan, I think we should wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Reach out to me if you want a hoodie or jogger or socks.
Or sweatpants.
Sweatpants. Dan will sell you his sweatpants. No, just kidding. We have hoodies, sweatpants, socks right now. I'm sure we got T-shirts galore back at the Academy. And please share this, rate and review it. Tell your friends about it. And thanks for listening. Take care.
Thanks.